So what we're going to do is we'll hear from our three lovely presenters, and then at the end, we will head into a Q&A. So throughout this, if you have any questions, feel free to either message them personally to me or put them in the chat, and we will try to get as many questions as we can answered. And today, we will be hearing from JC Whitehead, our interim dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and a professor here in the sociology department. We'll hear from Stephanie Stockamer, who is the associate dean of applied and experiential learning. And we'll hear from Aubrey Moore, the assistant director of the Office of Accessibility and Accommodations. So I'm going to pass it off to JC to get us started.
Lauren, thank you so much for that lovely introduction and for all of the high school seniors and parents who are here today. I want to thank you for being a part of this conversation. It says a lot already about your commitment to education and the journey ahead that you're here and doing this preparatory work. One of the most exciting things about coming to college is you get to meet new friends, and you also get to meet faculty member and staff who you've never met before, who are really going to be key to your success and your future path along the way. And as I think about some of the keys to success for you all coming to Pacific for your first year, you will find that being at a small school with faculty and staff members who are here because they want to be teachers and want to be a part of your journey as you go through the curriculum, you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of attention and it's going to come pretty quickly. And a lot of that attention will require some introspection on your part. So as you're thinking about things that you can do over the summer to start preparing for college, one of the things that you can think about are ways to have fun experiences that help you understand who you are and where you want to go. I do hope that you don't spend too much time doing academic work over the summer, just so that you can have that mental break and that rest going into the full school year that you'll be achieving. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how Pacific works for students in their first year and ways that you get to make connections with faculty and staff right away. And then when I pass things off to Stephanie Stockamer, she'll give you a lot more detail about how specific processes work as you come to Pacific as a first-year student. So in general, one of the things that you'll find when you come to Pacific is that you'll already be in a pre-made cohort of your choosing. And that really comes with what we call FYC, or first year community. So these are really cool interdisciplinary classes that have themes, and you get to choose which theme you want to explore. And they're really about critical thinking skills, communication, and building that cohort around you as you come for your first year. So it'll be you and about 19 other first year students and a faculty member who is excited about teaching the course, along with a mentor who is usually like a junior or a senior who's involved in the first year communities class. And along the way, the first year community cohorts also have some experiential learning opportunities that they have. Some of them go see plays together. Some of them go work on, go explore farms, doing tours of different kinds of things. So it won't just be sitting in the classroom. It'll be a lot of getting out there and meeting people and doing some interesting projects along the way. Another way that you'll be able to meet faculty and meet students right away is through our first year advising program. And Stephanie will say more about this when she chimes in. But essentially, the first year advising program offers you a faculty member right away and another 9 students who are a part of a class that's just a half a credit in the spring and 1 credit in the fall, where you actually get to learn about the curriculum, you get to learn some college navigation skills, and you have the ability to think through like how you're going to be connecting your scholarly work with some of the career pursuits that you want to have outside of Pacific. So that's a really cool thing because the first year advising groups have a shared curriculum and a shared set of objectives that will also help you get to know yourself and get to know the kinds of opportunities that exist out there. My guess is you all are a lot more sophisticated than I was when I went to college, but I can remember that feeling of not really knowing what I could do, like what were the different opportunities after college. And so it's really great to be a part of an advising group where you learn more about those things and get connected with people out doing interesting work in areas that you're passionate about. I will say that one of the most important tips for success as you start college is to make sure that you feel comfortable reaching out to your professors. I will say at Pacific, we are a very inclusive culture. We find that the faculty members here, most important, we want to be able to talk to students. And so even though, it may feel a little intimidating to be able to, go to a professor's office hours or stay after class for a minute just to have a conversation. It's really important just to go out there and be proactive about that. Because I will tell you, one of the best things about going to a small school is the amazing letters of recommendation you get from professors and staff who've actually worked with you on a regular basis. So I could go on and on about all of these delightful things about what your first year is going to be like and meeting professors, but I really hope that you all have some time too to ask really specific questions about maybe the kind of things you're excited about, maybe some of the concerns you have, because I know right now, man, it's that time of year, right? It's April and it's really coming near and making that those plans for what the next steps are going to look like. So, Stephanie, do you want to take it from here?
Sure, I will be happy to do that. Thank you, JC. And JC is absolutely right about those recommendations, by the way. I just submitted one last week for a student who I worked with several years ago here at Pacific, and she's actually coming back to do our doctorate program in educational leadership. And I was really excited to write a letter for her because I worked with her well over a few years, and it's really great when we get to see our students going on to other pursuits, whether that's a job or a graduate school or something else. And it's actually something that is really rewarding for us to write those kinds of letters because of those relationships that we have with students. It's such a big part of what we do here at Pacific. So hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie. As I was introduced, I'm the Associate Dean of Applied and Experiential Learning. And that means that I get to work in a lot of different areas of our academic team to try to support your success here at Pacific. And my task here today is to help you all understand what you have ahead of you in the summer months to get ready for a successful first year at Pacific, and a little bit of what that looks like on the academic side while you're here in that first year. So we have a really great handoff process from our amazing admissions team that you all are getting to know now to the rest of the offices that are ready to welcome you to Pacific. And that includes our orientation team, housing, residential life, all of the different areas that are ready to receive you on our campus. And one of the very first steps to go from being a new admit to a student at Pacific is something that we call the Academic Interest Survey, or the AIS for short. You might hear us refer to it that way. And the Academic Interest Survey is something that you're going to get as soon as you deposit. And well, maybe I won't say that quite. After May, as soon as you deposit. So those of you who are early go-getters, if there's anybody here who has already deposited, you have to wait a little bit because we're still finishing up some details on that survey. But after that, once it's done and out, as soon as you deposit, you get it. And we are anticipating that it will be going out for the first round of deposits in mid-May. And that survey gets a whole bunch of different information from you in a different way from your admissions packet. So we're really interested in knowing what kinds of classes you took in high school, specifically for language and math, because those are going to affect what you would be taking when you might start at Pacific. But also things like, are you planning to play a sport or do music, things that might affect your academic schedule because of other obligations that you might have. Or opportunities for scholarships that we might have missed that we can try to catch during this process. Similarly, we want to know what you're starting to think about in terms of your academic interests. Now, don't worry if you have no idea or you feel wide open or you feel like you're choosing between two things. Great, that's all fine. You don't have to have it figured out. But the more we know from you about some of the things you're starting to think about, the better off, we'll be able to help you find courses and get you into the right sections of classes that are going to meet your interests. It is very often the case that students change their minds, even from the time that they do the academic interest survey. And then when they are meeting with somebody to talk about that over the summer, there could be changes, and that's just fine. So it's not a high pressure thing at all, but it is a be honest, do the best you can to give us good information about yourself, because that's going to help us help you the best that we can. So once you get that, it'll come via email from whatever email we've been communicating with you on. And you will start to answer those questions, get that information to us, and that triggers a whole set of experiences that you can have over the summer. So the big overall effort of the summer for incoming students is to get you all advised and registered for fall classes. But we have a few steps that we have to do before we can set you up to do that. So I'm going to explain how that works, but first I want to explain the other steps that we have to do. So I mentioned language and math. Those are both two areas that you build on what you're learning as you go, right? Even more so than general studies, social studies, history. There's some of that, but math and language in particular are really developmental. So we want to make sure you get into the right sections for those courses. That means a little bit of challenge, but not out of your league, and with enough previous knowledge under your belt that you can be successful in that class. So we have placement processes for language and math, and that will all be explained to you over the emails that you get from our advising center after you do that initial academic interest survey. But the short of it is that you can take a placement test for language if you took a language in high school, and that will help us get you to the right level in college. If you take that test and you don't think that it reflects where you are, either you think, oh no, I did better than I actually am, and I actually want to have a lower level class, or if you feel like it didn't really represent your level of fluency, then we can work with the faculty in those departments, and they can work with you, especially like right in the beginning of the fall semester, to make sure that you get into the right class, because they want you to be at an appropriate level. If it's too easy, you're not really going to learn anything, and if it's too hard, you're not going to really learn anything either. So we want to make sure you get that part right. And also, there's a math placement test. So we'll ask you some questions in the academic interest survey about the kinds of math classes that you took in high school, but we also want to make sure that you're well set up for math success in the future. And that may look different depending a bit on your goals. If you're heading into an academic area where there may be a lot of math required, that might change a little bit where we would recommend you start on your math pathway here. So those two in particular, because they are processes and there's instructions involved and different placement processes that we use, you'll need to stay closely attended to your email. Really make sure you're paying attention to what those instructions are. And we're going to have help sessions throughout the summer. So if you run into any problems with logins or web links or getting to the right place, or there's a tech issue, we will be able to help you work through all of those processes throughout drop-in sessions over the summer, so that you don't get stuck or feel like you're not doing something right or not on track. We're going to be right there with you as needed. In addition, some of you might be coming in with some transfer credits from other institutions or from classes that you took at a community college, that kind of thing. Great. So we want to make sure that that all gets accounted for properly during your onboarding process with us. So our advising office, which is what I represent here today, works very closely with what is called our registrar's office. And I remember when I started college, I did not understand what a registrar was. That is the office that controls our course schedule and keeps track of your credits to make sure that you can graduate and are graduating with all the requirements met and everything like that. So we work really, really closely with them because they are how we log and record any credits that you may have coming into Pacific. So we do that through a process where you reach out to our advising office. We're happy to take a look at classes that you've taken and evaluate what they can transfer in here to count for. In some cases, classes might come in as direct substitutions. That class is so close to a class that we're offering here, it basically is the same thing and we count it as the same thing. In other cases, it might come in just as general transfer credit. something that adds toward your credits for graduation. So you're making, a little advanced step in your progress there, but is not going to substitute for a specific class here at Pacific. So we will work with you starting now, anytime, to look at what you have already. If it's something that is commonly transferred here to Pacific, maybe from one of our local community colleges, there's a pretty good chance that we have it on file as a class that will transfer in a certain way, and it might be a really smooth, simple, fast process. If it's a class that's a little bit more unusual or from an institution that we haven't worked with before, it may take a little bit more time to figure out how that can transfer in. Sometimes that means we have to track down a syllabus from the class. Sometimes it means that we need to work with faculty in a department to get their input on how close the content is to the content that we would be teaching here and that kind of thing. So we do ask for your patience, especially if that happens over the summer, where sometimes people take a little bit longer to respond if they are on their own summer breaks and that kind of thing. But we will get it done, and we'll make sure that the credits that you have coming in from other institutions can transfer here in a way that's going to serve you the best that it possibly can. So with all of that lined up, then you will be ready for our advising process. Now at Pacific, we combine academic and career advising. And JC talked a little bit about that. What that means is that from day one, we're helping you think about not only what classes you're taking in the next semester at Pacific, but also how does what you're taking connect to your goals and your interests and your desire to explore and set yourself up for your future path. We don't want you to get to the end of your college experience and then think, oh, shoot, I should have taken this prereq for grad school, or, oh, shoot, I should have taken this class to help me develop my skills in this area to get the kind of job that I want. We want you to be able to think about those things in a really thoughtful way from the beginning of your experience so that you're able to make the most of it. And also in a no pressure way. It's okay if you don't have everything mapped out for your future. That's totally normal. But what we want to make sure of is that you are well prepared as the future comes toward you to make good decisions, and that you're thoughtful about your classes along the way and that kind of thing. So what that means is that from day one, we want to have conversations with you that are helping you to make good choices about your future. And that's our advising process in a nutshell. Over the summer, we have 4 days where we have what we call summer advising days. And we have a small army of faculty and staff advisors who are ready to onboard our entire new first year class for the fall. And honestly, for us, it's really exciting because we love this new set of students coming through, and it gets us all fired up for the next year ahead when we get to work with you on this individual basis and get to know you a little bit better in this way. What it looks like is a day where you will have some presentations and information shared with you about the curriculum here, the details of our requirements, some things to think about as you're choosing your classes, the best tips from our faculty and staff. But then you'll also have an opportunity to sit down with an advisor one-on-one and talk through what your academic interest survey tells us and what the courses are that are available to you, and then start to make some decisions about what your schedule is going to look like in the fall. We take into consideration your athletic practice schedule and your possible performance schedule. And we will look at things like whether you might be needing to work while you're on campus and how that might affect your scheduling choices. It is a great opportunity to get to know a faculty member, a staff member a little bit more. And this is a set of faculty and staff who are really excited to meet with you. So it's not a group that you need to be intimidated by at all. These are like our nicest people that we have at Pacific. During the course of that conversation, you will probably talk about things like, what are you starting to think about in terms of a major or minor? It's okay if you don't have it figured out, but that helps us to know whether you should maybe start on some pre-health classes. If you already know you want to go into a certain direction, we can get started on it right away. On the other hand, if you're not sure, maybe there's a class that could help you figure it out. In fact, we do have a class in the fall that is for students who are undecided about their major, to help them explore and take steps to figure out what they want to do in the future. So all that being said, these advising days happen both in person and virtually. And I'm going to give you the dates now just so you know them. They're not up on our website yet because we've just finalized all of this. Don't worry, they're going to be given to you again, but I I'm just suspecting there could be some early go-getters in our mix today. And so in case you want to start planning summer activities, our events are on Wednesday, June 18th. That's going to be a virtual event. Friday, June 27th. That's going to be in person here on our lovely Forest Grove campus, which is beautiful in the summer. Friday, July 25th. In person again in Forest Grove, and Friday, August 1st as a virtual event. And it has been our experience that there are some people coming out of high school who are ready to go. You want to get right into the college mode ASAP. You want to figure out your schedule and get as much done as you can right away. And so we think you're probably the June people in the mix. And then we also often have students who are like, you know what? I want to wrap up summer. I want to do what JC said and go have some fun and take my brain off of academics. I don't really want to think about college until I'm a little bit closer to it. And those are going to be the July and August people. And in between, we have a whole month of drop-in times available to help with those language and math tests if you need to still take care of that kind of business or if you're having any other kinds of issues. And yes, I'd be happy to drop those dates into chat as soon as I'm done. So that's our process for academic advising. Now, how that connects with the part that JC was talking about with first-year communities. We have, like I said, a small army of faculty and staff who are ready for you over the summer. But some of those people are also faculty who are on our first-year advising team. So we have this first-year advising program that really starts over the summer and continues all the way through your first year at Pacific. It is possible, because we have so many people to onboard over the summer, you may not be matched with your advisor for the first year advising program. Just numerically, it doesn't quite work out that way to do it, but you'll still be matched with somebody who has some expertise and general shared interest as you, as long as that hasn't changed dramatically since your academic interest survey. So we use that interest survey to help match you with an advisor who knows your field, who is in the same general area as you, even if it's not permanent or it's still a little bit undecided, that's fine. And through that process, we will get to a point where in early fall, you are assigned an advisor for the first year advising program. You will meet with them, you'll meet with your cohort who are also being advised by that same person. And really, it's a steady checkpoint throughout your whole first year experience. And there are a couple of pieces of it that I really want to highlight because we're pretty excited about them. This is a relatively new program, and we've really put a lot of thought into how to make it be what will work for you all. So this fall, after meeting with your first year advisor and getting settled into classes, you will also have the opportunity to participate in what we're calling College Success Week. So you take a break from your first year advising program in early November, and you have a whole set of workshops that are going to be available to you to help you succeed in the rest of your time in college. And you might think, like, why isn't this during orientation? Wouldn't that be a better time to do it? Turns out, no. Most people are so busy during orientation, just getting their room settled, meeting new people, this whole new environment, that things like personal finance and time management, just it's not right time to think about all that stuff. But after you've had some time in classes and you really know what the college schedule is like, what professors are asking of you, where your expectations may not have been what you thought, or where you're realizing you need to do some work on your own skills, then you'll have some choice in taking workshops on these various topics. So like I said, time management, personal finance, study skills, how to study for a science versus how to study for a social science kind of exam. So we'll have this whole set of conference-like workshops that you can participate during the College Success Week. So we're pretty excited about that. And then in spring, as the first year advising program continues, your advisor is going to shift focus a little bit more from setting you up in as a foundation to be successful in college to how you start thinking about your future. And that will include some opportunities to do some self-assessment and reflect on where your strengths and interests are, how you want to contribute to the world moving forward. What do you need to do to improve your own viability as a candidate for future positions and for grad school? And so you'll have just some initial thinking to do about all of that. Again, it's not that you have to get it all figured out by the end of your first year, but we want you to have the tools so that you can figure it out when you're ready to do that. So those are the pieces that I'm really excited to share with you today. Happy to answer further questions, and I'll put some dates in the chat, but I'm going to turn things over to my colleague Aubrey over in our Office of Accessibility and Accommodation. Aubrey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. I just have a small slideshow, so let me get that started really quick. Okay. There you go. Okay, are you guys able to see that okay? Perfect. All right, so I'm here to talk a little bit about the Office of Accessibility and Accommodations and how this can be a good resource for you getting ready to come to Pacific and during your time here. So just to start us off, here's our OAA team. We're a team of 3. So our director is Victoria. I'm Aubrey, the assistant director, and then we just hired on our new accommodation specialist, Rebecca. So we're really excited for her to start next week. So what is the Office of Accessibility and Accommodations? Our primary purpose is to serve any students with any type of disability that impacts you in the classroom or housing or any other barriers that you might encounter due to your disability during your time here at Pacific. We're here to help. So we serve students with lots of different types of permanent or chronic health conditions, learning disabilities. These can be more physical. We also serve people with mental health challenges as well. So just a wide variety. And we also help out students with temporary conditions. So if while you're here you get injured, get a concussion, or even have an intensive surgery that has a long recovery period, we're happy to help you out with any supports that you need during those times as well. Okay, so how can we help? The primary way that we help is by putting in place accommodations or adjustments for your classrooms, housing, assignments, just whatever you're needing due to your specific disability barriers. And we'll kind of talk through those when we do our intake meeting with you. What are your specific needs based on your disability? How are they impacting you in the classroom or in your dorm room? What kinds of housing needs do you have? So we talk through those with you and also look over your documentation, which can be if you have an IEP from high school or a 504 plan, that's a really great piece of documentation you can provide that we can look through with you and see what you've had in high school and how that might be able to transfer to Pacific, what we can put in place that's similar and could still work for you here. Or a letter from your current provider that you're working with for whatever your condition is. So some examples of accommodations that we might put in place could be extended testing time. If you need some extra processing time, we'll often give you time and a half or double time on exams is something that we'll commonly put in place for qualified students, as well as like a reduced distraction area if you find yourself being distracted easily in the large classroom, papers rustling and people getting up and leaving. That's something we can work through as well. We also offer audiobook and digital e-texts for textbooks. If you have any type of low vision or learning disability that makes audio better for you, we can work with you on that. We offer note taker services if it's challenging to be getting down all the pieces of the lecture and still keeping pace with the lecture. That's another common one we'll put in place, as well as some attendance flexibility accommodations if you have bad flare-up days in your symptoms that cause you to have to miss class slightly more often than the typical student. That's another thing we can definitely look into. These are just a couple. You can see a lot more of our accommodations that we offer on our website, and definitely when you meet with our office, we'll talk through what all your options are and how they would work to support your specific needs. So you can access our website with this QR code. I also have a tiny URL you can use, and I've put the full URL at the bottom, but also if you just hop on Google and put in Pacific University Office of Accessibility, it should be the first link that pulls up. And I can put that in the chat as well after. Okay, and then we are happy to talk with any of you at any time. You can access us over email. Our email is just oaa@pacificu.edu. I've also included our phone number here, and we're happy to have you drop by if you'd like to come in person. We're on the Forest Grove campus in Clark Hall on the second floor. Yes, we're happy to talk at any time. If you have questions about getting started with our office over the summer, we can definitely talk through that with you. And if it's not a current concern while you're getting started, but at any point during your Pacific journey, you find that you're needing these services, you are welcome to contact us at any time. All right, that is all I have for you guys today. So I will pass it back to Lauren. Let me end my screen share. Okay.
Yeah, thank you all for the lovely information. That was super great. So we are going to jump into a lot of questions. We already have a ton, which is super awesome. I love how curious you all are. But throughout this, if you all who are here today come up with any more questions, definitely feel free to message them to me and we will try to get as many answered as we can. So our first question is, what does tutoring look like on campus? Is the tutoring center free and can I go weekly or monthly?
I can take that one. We have a tutoring center that is part of our Center for Academic Success. And we have tutors on staff who are students, typically more advanced students in that same area. It is a free service for the students who are receiving tutoring, but the tutors get paid. And it is available to any student anytime. So there is not a cap on how much tutoring a student can get. It is based on what the student and the tutor determine together. So it is readily available for any subject. We have students who have some extra special training in writing support, but otherwise we rely on the students and the faculty, the advanced students and their faculty to help support the students learning at the lower division level.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. Our next question, which will also be for you actually, or JC as well, is what does experiential learning look like at Pacific?
I want to take that. Sorry, JC, I got it. Experiential learning is really about when you are taking any kind of experience that you're having out in the world with some intentional thinking about what you are learning from that experience. So we use the term broadly in college settings to talk about things like internships, practicum, study abroad, outdoor learning, wilderness learning, that kind of thing. But it really can be applied to a broader set of experiences as long as you're connecting it to the learning that's happening. And here at Pacific, there's lots of different opportunities for that. Some of you will end up in majors or minors where that's built into the program. So for example, our social work program, sports leadership and management, criminal justice law and society, public health, all of those are majors where there is a practicum experience or a field experience built into the program. So if you're doing that major, you're going to be doing something that is out in the community and connected to the professional work that is connected to that major area. But any student can do an internship, and it could be something that's directly connected to your course of study, or it could be in an area that you want to explore or for a cause or an issue that you're interested in. We have a few different ways that we can structure those so that it really can line up with your interests. I just met with a student yesterday who is very interested in partnering with Habitat for Humanity. He has some construction skills unrelated to his environmental biology major. And so I'm helping him set up an independent internship where he can work with Habitat for Humanity, apply his construction skills, fulfill a requirement, but then also continue on his environmental biology degree.
If I might just add a few words to that, Stephanie, I think really great. The other piece of it too is having that exploration piece when it comes to some of the career and professional avenues that you might start being interested in, but having those experiential learning opportunities sometimes can give you more of a sense of whether or not you actually want to be in those fields. So I've seen experiences, for example, of students who come freshman year who are like, I know I want to be a kindergarten teacher. And then they have an internship or experiential learning opportunity, and they spend some time around kindergartners in these kinds of settings, and they're like, actually, maybe not. But those are so crucial to the college experience, to be able to get in situations that not only that you can say, hey, yeah, this is what I really want to do, but also to be in situations where you're like, this is the piece of the work that I wasn't clear on. And now that I am, I kind of want to go in a different direction. So we have early pathways for exploration like that. And for a lot of students, you know, there are light bulbs that go off when you're in class, and you're having a great discussion, but it's a whole other thing when you are actually applying it in a real world environment. And so for us at Pacific, those opportunities are really important.
Yeah, great answers, both of you. And I think that is one of the things that makes Pacific so special as well, is getting those students those opportunities early. So our next question is for you, Aubrey. We have, what advice do you have for students who are transitioning from their high school accommodation, so the 504 plans or IEPs, to the college level?
That is a great question. I think my best advice is just to connect with us. I think we'll be your best transition tool. It is a different environment in college, and our accommodations do look slightly different at times, especially depending on what program you're in, what kind of classes you're taking. So we're happy to talk through that with you. It's just super individualized based on your barriers and your coursework. So it's really variable, but I would just say connect with us as soon as possible, and we are happy to work through that with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Aubrey. Our next question, which any of you feel free to answer, is, I know you touched on this a little bit, Stephanie, but what do job opportunities look like, both work study and non-work study? And what is it like to balance a job with your academic experience?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. And I didn't mention this before, but going back to the earlier question, I also like to think about jobs on campus or during college as another opportunity for experiential learning, because there's so much that you can get, as JC has said, about the kind of work that you want to do in the future. So yeah, there's really three main categories of jobs that you can get while you're in college. I will say I don't have a number of what percent of our students are actually employed somewhere while they're here, but it is high. It is most students are doing some kind of job while they are here. So the three categories. For some of you, you're going to get a part of your financial aid package that's called federal work study. And what that is a program that allows us to use federal dollars to pay you to work on campus. And those are jobs that help our university run. They're in offices and departments all throughout the campus. And they range in terms of the kind of work that they are doing. Sometimes it's really hands-on, like working in laundry down in the athletics facility. Sometimes it's really about working with a unit on campus to do what they are doing and help them with that. So I also work with our Center for Civic Engagement. We have a fantastic student team. They run and plan events for other students on campus and for our broader community at large. So they put on workshops and conferences and run volunteer projects. And it's the students who are being paid to do that that are really the linchpin in what we are able to offer as a center. Sometimes it's really academic in nature. So you could get a job working with a department and doing research or working with a faculty member. Sometimes it's office work where you're working with our business office or our admissions team, doing admissions tours. So all kinds of different opportunities on campus. And there's also a slice of that particular kind of job, the federal work study jobs, that are actually in the community. We call that community service work study, but they're jobs where you might be otherwise volunteering or doing an internship with a public organization or a nonprofit, but you're getting paid through the federal work study program to do that. Another kind of job is very, very similar to what I just described, but they are non-work study jobs. So those are available regardless of your financial aid status. You can apply if you do have federal work study or if you don't have federal work study, but doing similar kinds of work. So in the Center for Civic Engagement, we have federal work study students and non-work study students working side by side, planning those events that I was just talking about. That funding is a little bit more limited than the federal work study funding. So there are fewer non-work study jobs available on campus, but they are more flexible in the kinds of students that can apply for them. And then the third are jobs off campus. We have plenty of students who are working in our local business and retail and restaurant communities. So we have servers and waitstaff and people who are working at the grocery store and nannies and everything else. So our academic and career advising office manages a jobs board, and we also manage recruitment events. So we have a small community here. Local employers know that we are around and that we have a population of college students who might be looking for work. And we have recruiting events a couple times on campus, as well as opportunities around those events, in between those events, for students who are looking for work to get help doing that. For those of you who are interested in just taking a peek at the kinds of jobs that are available to students, I'll put that link in shortly for you to go to our human resources website where all of those jobs are posted, but with the caveat that this time of year is not when most of those jobs are being posted. So the a number available in the variety right now is not really representative of what you will start to see in August when we are rehiring our student staffs for the next year. And that's really when to start looking for those jobs, or right when you get on campus. We'll have some of those recruitment events and fairs really early on in the first couple of weeks so that you can look for a job when you get here, and that is just fine.
That was a great answer. Thank you. So our next question is it possible to double major and double minor at Pacific?
I'll go ahead and take that one. Yes, it is possible to double major, and yes, it is possible to double minor. Often what our advisors do, if students are interested in double majoring or double minoring, is ask them why. And the reason why we ask them why is because sometimes you think you need an extra major, but actually you don't. And maybe what you're looking at is, hey, I really love theater and I love psychology, so I'm going to get a major in both. The kind of conversation that we encourage is, how can we shape an academic plan for you that's going to meet where you want to go after Pacific? And that might mean double majoring is the best path for you, or it might mean pick one of those majors, take some classes in the other major, but also make sure that you have enough time in your schedule to take these other classes that are going to prepare you for the kind of life you want to live after college. So majors are just really shorthand curricular packages for areas of interest and expertise. And the advantage of going to a liberal arts college is that you are able to get access to all sorts of different skill sets and ways of knowing that sort of allow you to customize your own academic portfolio that best meets the needs for where you're going after Pacific.
Yeah, great answer. So thank you for sharing. And my next question is also for you, which is, what type of relationships do students build with their professors at Pacific? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. For a lot of our students who are here for the full 4 years of their college experience, they work with a professor in, let's say if they're in the natural sciences, they may work with a professor in lab on research. If they're in the creative world, maybe they're working on productions with their faculty members. And over time, they may also be research assistants on outside projects that faculty are involved in, or they may work on a political campaign with a faculty member who's involved in that kind of project or community work. They may publish with faculty. So we have a number of students who have written publications with faculty members, gone on to present at conferences with them. So for those of you that are familiar with like how big state schools work, the graduate students that are normally working with faculty, it's like that at Pacific, except it's undergraduate students working with faculty. So you'll find that there's just a lot of opportunities to get involved in the craft of different disciplines. And I could give you multiple examples. For example, we have a psychologist at Pacific who does work on studying river otters. And she takes students with her out in the field to do research, behavioral research on those otters. And then she also takes them to conferences where they present on what the otters have been up to. They also do some work at the zoo where they go do some observations and studies, and that ends up being a part of their senior capstone project as well. So those are the kind of mentoring relationships. And also in advising, faculty members will learn a lot holistically about what are the students, maybe even the hidden talents that even they don't realize, and being able to know them well enough to say, hey, why don't you go out and explore this? Because I've noticed you're really good at that. I don't know if you've noticed it. And so there's also that bit of like being a mentor, giving some sage advice about next steps in one's life, connections. I'm a sociologist. Oftentimes we talk about social capital, and that is the ability for faculty members to open up a whole new set of connections for students to have. Like, oh, I have a former student who actually works at Intel. Wouldn't it be cool if you could have this internship and you could figure out like if that's what you were really interested in? So there's these different levels of like direct research and scholarship, looking at connections and internships, that mentorship angle. So all sorts of different varieties. And I know I keep rattling on, but I'll say one more thing. And this is about holistic. We have students who are athletes. We have students who are highly involved in the forensics program. And our faculty members like to follow those events. They like to be out there cheering the students on. So it's not just you'll see a professor in a classroom, but if you're competing, for example, you'll likely to see a professor at the competition, being right there, rooting you on. We have this group called the FAC Pack, Faculty Pack. And these are faculty members who go to games and follow the students and really cheer them on throughout the seasons. So.
But JC, you're forgetting about the fun ones, the chemistry department barbecue and the the stargazing with Todd at night. I mean, outside of the academics too, there's really fun stuff that faculty do. Just have lunch with a student in the Tromley Square and that kind of thing. JC's got the Dean vent that I know she likes.
Yeah, that's right. And occasionally the lawn games out on campus too. Yep.
That's awesome. I want to be part of the fact pack too now. So I have one more final question, and feel free for all of you to chime in on this one. And that is, what makes academic life at Pacific different from other colleges?
Yeah, if I can just start, and then if that's okay, I think that a couple things really come to mind for me that are striking. I've been to a number of private liberal arts colleges, and what I've noticed there is that oftentimes there's this sense of privilege and a feeling of like distance between students and faculty because students may feel intimidated by faculty who are there. One of the things that's really distinctive about Pacific is that our faculty are down to earth. They are interested in working with students, and they don't tend to be very pretentious. They're not going to hide behind their credentials. They are going to be out there working with you because what they want to do is work with students and be a part of their story. The second thing I would say is like the student culture at Pacific. One thing I've noticed compared to other institutions is that students are really cooperative and supportive of each other. I've been in a lot of climates, particularly ones that are health science heavy, where there's a lot of competition among the students. And it's really like, who's going to be best in class? I'm going to be better than you, that sort of thing. You don't find that attitude at Pacific very much. The attitude you tend to find is, hey, I noticed that you didn't have a good day today. How about we go out to lunch? And the students are like that with each other. Or I know you had to miss class. Do you want to sit down and talk about the material? So I feel really proud to be a part of a community where students are out there for each other rather than trying to compete against each other. So I would say those two things are really distinctive about our school.
I can add to that. JC totally took the two that I was going to say, so thanks a lot. But the bigger umbrella that I would add to that is just the word connection. It's the connection between faculty and students to each other, but it's also things like connection of the academic content to future opportunities and potential career pathways. And it's also the connection of different parts of our curriculum. We've been really thoughtful about how we lay out the set of requirements and how we make room for you to choose your own electives. And that's because we want things to connect and make sense for you. So connection overall among the people, among the curriculum to itself and to future.
Yeah, just to add to what's already been said, I think the faculty and the staff are just super invested in the students, and we're here because we love students, and they're here to teach, and we're here to serve our students in terms of disability services, our office specifically, but we like to check in and we like to know how you're doing, how your sport's going, how your activities are. And I just appreciate that aspect of Pacific, and being at a smaller school, it really allows us to get to know you and to create a really great community.
Yeah, if I may say one more thing, Lauren, you know, a lot of alumni describe Pacific as family. And having been a professor at Pacific and now the dean, I've been here for 17 years. And having taught for 10 years, and you see the students who come back, like for me, like my first 4 years, seeing that cohort of students who come back and what they've accomplished in their life and how they talk about Pacific, that's the huge reward of being a professor here, is hearing back from your students and what they've been able to accomplish. And there's so many of them that just become sort of a fabric of your own life, and how you actually think about the impact that you're making in the world. And faculty care deeply about that, and the students stay connected to us for a long time. I just had one of my former students over, who's now in Edinburgh as a professor, who came over to my house and hung out and had coffee and told me all about what their new job is like. And this is the kind of thing that just happens on the regular. So it's pretty neat.
Great answers, and what a heartwarming way to wrap up there. So thank you for answering our questions today and sharing such wonderful information. Thank you to our students and families for joining us today. Just a few things to keep in mind. May 1 is National Decision Day. So submit your deposit as soon as possible, but before then, you have just about a month now, but know that your admissions counselors like me and everyone else are here to support you in this process. So let's meet, let's talk. We'll be traveling a lot in the next coming weeks, and we're also holding admitted student days in person. So if you want to come to campus and celebrate with us, we'd love to have you. But yeah, thank you all for being here. I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll stay around if you want to answer or ask some more questions, and go Boxers. Bye, everyone.